way she taught me, the way she loved me was like this. It's so different because I tell people, like, when my mom was raising us, and the way I felt like I was learning from her is that she created this flower, and this flower can grow into this tree, and this tree has to produce fruit so it could help other trees live. And that was my mom. She said, if you're going to be something, produce fruit to drop seed so other people can eat and other people can grow. So that
Beautiful.
was my mother's mantra. And she
Wow.
lived that way with all her civil rights things that she done, and just all the things she did, or always has done for so many people and even us as kids. And I think, I know that's what inspires me even to this day. And so with your mom, I know she inspires you. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Especially, in India, I mean, I know a lot of people are doing a lot of work, but the society I come from, this kind of age is treated as, oh, you're 73, as if your life has finished, or
Mm.
you're 70. There's nothing to do. If you are not from that segment of life where there's a lot to do, or you're going out, or either you're going for some parties. Other than that, no one is doing here anything. Even if you're forgetting something, it's like, really, that's the age we are supposed to forget, right?
Yeah.
But when they see my mother doing whatever she's doing with her drawings, or the workout she's doing, people are not able to absorb that, especially the society I live in. I mean, I'm not talking about India as a whole because there's a lot happening, fantastic things are happening. But when I say my society where I live, segment of people I see, they have a lot of money. All they can do is enjoy, have fun, not because of the pandemic, they're not been able to go out, but otherwise, they are just into themselves. So she has kind of opened the brain and the pathways to other people that this is also we can do. We can inspire others. So this is something I really like when we are working with her, and she puts in a lot of effort to be not where she was before.
It, you know, I know we just jumped right in, but before we get really going, and before you introduce yourself, I want to say first, welcome to Mental Health Mondays. I'm Dr. Paul, and I have
Thank
a
you.
dear friend of mine who's we've been friends for a while and been on other shows before. She's going to introduce herself. But Mental Health Mondays, it's about talking about mental health and about how we can create solutions, but about recognizing mental health. It seems to be such a problematic word, mental and health. Like, it's not about being mentally strong, it's not about being mentally weak. It's about being mentally health, meaning that understand what you're feeling and thinking, and going through, and how it results in the body, how it affects you, how it affects love, the loves in your life, and how you are transmitting, right? Because if you don't understand what you're transmitting, it has a
True,
cause and effect. So first,
true.
introduce yourself.
So, hi, I'm Dr. Shivani Khetan, and I am working for the mental health in India. I am working in the areas of healing, mental health, and hypnotherapy. And the one thing I really tell everyone is whether you are doing anything, please do a little bit of art every day. Why? Because it will help you to connect with yourself. It just gives you a feeling. You can just have few crayons lying, some papers, just write what you're feeling. Now, you might be feeling great, you might not be feeling great. At least it will help you to connect with yourself. And this is what I'm doing here, and I'm working a lot with dementia. So thank you, Dr. Paul, for inviting me. You always are very kind to me to get me here. Yes, the time frames are a little weird, but then thank you so much for calling me on this platform. I always enjoy coming here. Thank you.
So, Dr. Shanani, to talk about the dementia that you're working with, talk because my mother, and we were talking about my mom, and before she passed away, she died of a stroke, but the last year and change, she had dementia, and I understand being this neuroscience geek of me, I understand the proteins and the deficiency that cause a lot of the decay in the brain. But let's talk about the work you're doing with it.
So most of my work started happening with my mother because due to pandemic, the society that I wanted to work with, they were kept inside due to the health reasons. So what we are working on is first we are working on the dimensions of protein that you have said. We have touched the food level of her. We released the carbohydrates from her life, and it has helped her a lot. And as you know, the protein plays a very big role when it comes to your memory. So the food was taxing. There were times when I had to not tell her what I was feeding her. So we had to create food, like we were making some meatballs and telling her we were doing it's a normal ball of a potato or something, and then we had them framed in vegetables and everything. uh, I created an egg tofu for her, and because egg is an integral part to eat every day for her.
Yeah,
So I am creating egg tofus at home, and we tell her that egg is used as binding, but it is full made of eggs. So those kind of things were introduced to her and tossed in a nice way because I cooked for her. She was feeling very nice that my daughter is cooking for me. So I was creating my experiments so that she does not know about the smell or something because see,
right,
she has
right.
been vegetarian all her life and I have been vegetarian all my life. But now I have switched to a protein diet. So I know how bad it can be when you have not been eating and how a little smell can also put you off. So the food did its part. Then we were doing art therapy with her. Every single day I've done art therapy with her. We have done movement with her. We introduced movement. She started expressing through her body,
Yes.
which which no one tells them. They're very shy. They just sit like this. So we started opening her with her music. I put her into our house where we had a beautiful music playing all the time, and she just, well, you have to see her. There's a whole change in her that has happened. And she was repeating a lot. As you know, the dementia patients only remember the past.
Yes.
If they've eaten also or not, they will just forget like this. We started working on that. We used to ask her, "Are you hungry?" And she said, "No, no." Then slowly, slowly, she became present of her environment, of herself that no, I've eaten. And then came a part where she started expressing, I like this, I do not like this. I'm not happy to do this. Something which I've never seen her as an Indian woman coming from a middle class family. Women have always and always taken in. They've never given back saying, I do not like this. Like when you started from here, how are you feeling? Being very much connected to your mental health. And now I see her expressing.
Dr. Shirani, let me ask you, because cultures have a lot to play with how we understand ourselves. Is that correct? And
Yes.
when we move out of cultural identity and we find what you call our true selves, it's completely different, and that's very difficult for people to move through that.
Absolutely. Culture plays a very big role. That's why they say if you want to know a person better, you need to understand their language. And the moment you start speaking their language, you start to understand what do they like, what is his history, where they come from. So the culture plays a very big role. As Indians, our culture for women has been very different. Not that it's not an opening society, it is an opening society, but in segments of life where some women were not good in their studies. So what did they do? They were just cooking. washing, taking care of their children. And that is something all the life I've seen my mother doing. I think right now, what she's understanding. I always thought she was intelligent, but I could never see the areas where I found her intelligent, except she was a great friend to me all my life.
Right, right.
So now I see her opening up. She wants to wear Western, all that thing she was told as a child or as a woman or as a wife not to do.
Yeah.
She wants to experiment that. And that's very much nice because she's opening up to new things in life. So her culture had kept her inside like a shell. Now she's trying to open up and see what is the good part that I've missed in life and what is something I need to acknowledge. If I'm angry, I need to express that. Her anger also she was not expressing.
This is you. You brought up mental health. I know we got to get away from this, and I say it a lot. These constructs of what we think it is. And recently, for myself, and I'm so glad to have mental health because I get to talk to a mental health professional like yourself, and I get my own counseling in my own way. I have daughters who are in relationship situations. I have sons who are going through their own emotional growth. I have my personal self where I feel saddened that I can't help them as quote dad, or I'm moving through my own emotional growth. And we talk about these changes, but more importantly, it's about expression. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It absolutely makes sense. Uh, like you said, you have your own children, and sometimes, even if you know a lot, you're not able to help them out because you are their dad. I mean, I so many times put myself into that situation. But the point is, I've seen this. If I'm clearer in my work and my thought process, even though I might not be able to help my own children or my own family,
Right.
but if they see what I'm saying and doing is same,
Mm.
they do come back to us because they know they're consistently doing what they are saying to others. It's not I said something to someone, I did my session, and then I'm back to my square one. No, it's not like that. So if you are
Yeah.
you're living your life like that. I see you a lot on Instagram. I see a lot what you're talking about. So you are consistently trying to improve yourself. So even if you're stuck that you're not able to help them, you will always be there to discuss. And then what they do, you will not be someone who will say, no, you have to do this or you have to do that. So I think that's perfectly all right. Then sometimes we're not able to help them, but listening is also helping.
And it's not about trying, like you said, it's not about trying to fix it. It's, to me, it is listening. And listening is very difficult for people when they're stuck in a box in their own emotional self. And that's why I think I've always told anyone, I tell myself, express yourself, express yourself, express yourself. But I know people have a hard time trusting who they're expressing to. Now, how can someone break that barrier of trust?
Uh, well, the first thing I always feel is the surrounding of people. What are they doing?
Right.
Before I go and tell people how am I feeling, I need to see the kind of surrounding of people I am with. Are they helping me with the growth? Are they encouraging me with my new things that I can adapt in my life? Or are they telling me not to do and stick back to those things that I have been doing for years or they have been doing for years? So that's very important who is around me. Because if I'm going telling someone, oh, I have a great idea, and I tell a person who's very, very orthodox about life and things, he's going to tell me, why do you want to do that? That's not a great idea. And even if your idea had a potential, it's going to go down the drain. Because see, it's just like a quick thing that comes to you. And I always say people write down because I also do that. Sometimes you just forget it. So it's very essential what kind of a person the person is living a life I go and tell them about.
Mm.
Now, I remember as a child, sorry, yeah,
No, go ahead, go ahead.
my mother was someone who was a great listener. Now, if I go back, she was someone who was not putting in a lot of message to me, but she was a great listener because she was very much involved in her life, bringing me up. My father was a little tough person who I remember him. He was not very someone who wanted us to go out or parties or something like that. So, I've been brought up in a very strict and small environment where somewhere he thought my daughter is very good looking. She cannot go out. She cannot handle people. So she has to stay home. She goes school and come back. So she was a great listener to me. She never said, you cannot do this. She always said, find a way. So I think that find a way always stayed with me. Ki if you want to do this, find a way. So it's very important who we are speaking to and are they giving us the right advice and are they really interested in hearing also? Sometimes we just start talking. The person
It,
might not be
it's the same
uh,
way. It's about feeling people. Are they listening with their heart or are they listening with their mind? You know what I mean? And you're
true.
right. Some people just want to listen to give you an answer, but they have no compassion to hear you.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree.
So when it comes to, we were talking right before we got on air, and if anyone has any questions for us on Mental Health Mondays, this is about answering your questions too. It's not just about us talking, but it's, I hope you learn something from this. We talk about things will change. With this, in this today is the Monday before the United States have their holiday of Thanksgiving, and
Yes.
and and people are struggling with not being able to be home to the families they have to stay away from because of the pandemic and things like this. So they're struggling with things. Our
True.
suicides are up, our overdoses are up, our drinking is up. There's a lot of things that are just up, and people are being more violent here. But you were telling that there's a time where things will just change.
Yes, absolutely. Because if you remember when this pandemic started, people were very scared. We were trying to get whatever hands we could have it on, whether it was breads, grains, rice, whatever you were, because there was a chaos happening because we were
Mhm.
thinking only about ourselves. And down the time we could see, okay, especially in India, we have people working for us, especially for households, which is not there in United States. Much of that I don't see there. Uh, and we were paying them also, even when they were not coming for a month or 2 months or 3 months, we were paying them. And then came a time when we feel everything is fine now. Somehow this wave of everything is fine now during Diwali celebrations, like for you, it's Thanksgiving. We
Right.
just had a festival, Diwali,
Yes,
and
yes.
people have
Festival of Lights.
Yes, yes, Festival of Life, great. So people have just come out. They're not wearing their masks, they're not doing the healthy things they're supposed to do, and the scare has gone away because people are thinking, oh, the vaccine is coming, everything is going to be all right. Why do I need to do this? So, coming back to your question, whenever any society will start thinking on me and
Mm.
separatism, this is going to happen. But eventually, when people start to look for each other or the neighbor, how are you doing? Smiling at someone, going for a walk on a park. I do not see people wishing each other, you know, especially before we never had mask, but we had mask inside. And now the mask has come outside.
Yes.
And the smile, before at least we could see the smile. Now there is no way, there's no even eye contact with people because we are just trying to go our way and come back our home, and no interaction is there. So I feel whenever a society will go through a separatism or a Me Too situation, that society anyway has to go through some changes which will erupt into a situation where a compassion or empathy has to come back. Otherwise, there is no future. And I feel sometimes this pause button that has happened on earth because of coronavirus is making people understand who they are living with next door.
Mm,
What is the other person saying? Why is he not feeling nice? Why can't I pick up my phone and talk to them? It's like a pause. It has told us, where are you going? What are you doing? If you have money, you have so much of money, and you're just doing whatever you feel like. Your wedding is happening like that. You have no idea why you're spending money also.
right.
So the change will come. I think the change is coming. People are feeling. You've been working so much on mental health, trying to tell people have compassion, because without compassion, nothing is going to work.
No.
No relationship is going to work.
Here's the thing. I think people who and I get asked this question a lot in boxing and stuff is I am compassionate. They say I am compassionate. Why do you think how does can someone build compassion? First of all, I say compassion doesn't just fall on you. You have to practice developing it. You just don't just have it. You have to develop it. Like you have to grow it from your beginning, not from a beginning. Like I couldn't give you compassion and be like, I got it. Thanks. So and people say, well, how do they develop it? What's some of your ways can people develop compassion?
Uh, so the first easy way is you start with yourself. First, everyone says, I'll come back to compassion, but before that, I'll touch upon a very small thing. I love you. Whenever you're in love with someone, I love you. And these days, people just throw this word like this. But has anyone thought, am I lovable? Why someone has to come and tell me, I love you?
Right?
Am I lovable?
Right.
Am I loving myself? Am I taking care of this body? Am I taking care of my needs? Am I taking care of, like, my brain also requires a certain amount of food, which is meditation, silence, giving myself love, the surrounding of people. So compassion will come from those things. If
Mhm.
I'm eating well, I'm keeping myself hygiene, I can listen to things, I can take feedback, I'm not controlling. So there is a lot of work I have to do on myself to reach to the compassion which is for myself.
Mhm.
Now, once I am compassionate about myself, I will pour out what I have. If I'm full of hatred, I'm going to give you hatred only, no matter what,
No matter what. No matter what.
no matter
I
what, no
it,
matter what.
and I tell people if you and this is very also difficult for people. And then maybe just because the way I've studied and practiced my life and anyway, but if you have a dislike and actually I dislike something, you will give that off to other people. It's not because you dislike them or what they're talking about, but inside of you, it will transmit. It has to.
True, true. It's a very old saying which never used to make sense to me as a child. Like, an orange will give you an orange juice only, or an apple will give you an apple juice back. Ugh. I was just like, what kind of a thing is this? And then I realized, yes, if I'm angry, I'm going to take out anger only, no matter someone is saying so much good about things.
Hmm.
But I'm getting triggered by something in him.
That's right.
And it's not him. It's my own weakness which I'm not liking. So I have a lot of relationship people coming to me and saying, she doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. So the only one question I can ask one person is, have you tried to understand why his problem that he's doing or not doing, why is it hindering you so much?
Right,
He's
right.
sitting fine. It is you who's complaining. So that means those complaints are your complaints. But then it's not very easy for people to listen to that. They're like, oh, it's his problem. Why is my problem? But then you are the one who's pointing it out. So, so no one wants to work on themselves. So that means the compassion of themselves is only missing. I think one needs to build your own love for yourself first,
Do you
which
think
is
the United States has been, if you watch our political things fall out across the world, and it does affect India and affects globally, and things that happen here has happened in India and it has happened in other countries, and that is that the vision of cultural separation. The hard question is, it will get better. Do you agree or disagree, or do you think it's just the way things happens because of human condition? I would never say human nature.
no, I absolutely feel it's going to get better because change is anyway inevitable. So, like I said, there will be a certain amount of people who will not agree with that. And we have seen people go away they've dropped like anything from earth.
Hmm.
And the people who are accepting the change, you will see them growing like anything. And then there's some people who are just not able to understand what is happening. So, right now, the revolution is all about into these three segments. People who cannot cope up with the change, they're dropping away.
Right.
People who are trying to understand what is happening, they're going for the growth. The change is taking them to where they're supposed to be taking. And the people, the segment that you're talking about, which are not able to understand, which can be a huge amount of people also, that's also going to either going to change or they're going to drop out of our earth because that's the vibration and the frequency that we are living with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no matter what happens, I always feel change will take place. We have no choice. It has to happen, but it'll happen at the time when it is destined to happen. It cannot happen before, it cannot happen after that. We just have to know what we want. That's it.
You know, how well, how your mother is doing better. She is doing better. I told you off air before we came on. She is just an inspiration to me, because I know how my mother was to me, and I just see her working on her change, and that to me is so paramount when it comes to people. You definitely have to work on your change. And here's the other key factor: asking for help. We are not built on this planet, on this earth, to do something alone. And we're not supposed to know everything. So just asking for help, and we're there. The daughters are there, the fathers are there, the friends are there, your partners are there. People are there. You just have to ask for help.
Absolutely. And there's no shyness in asking for help. I believe um, the more you give, the more you get in return. So we can be a giver than being a receiver. Uh, my mother, I think, because she's adapting that change, that is why everyone is loving her. Everyone is happy to see that at this age also we can start reliving our lives. So I think there's a hope that we see with her. There's nothing amazing about her. What is amazing is I see that she gives us hope. She gives me hope that I can put in more efforts and we can see a change. So it's about finding your way every day, I guess.
Before we take off, I just want to thank everyone who likes to tune in to Mental Health Mondays. And I do Mental Health Mondays every Monday because that's what I call it. But more importantly, this is about asking questions. This is about letting you know that the mini shows I do on Bridges is about giving information, understanding, and action. And today was about understanding what you can do to develop your compassion, and about that change is coming. It's either you cannot stop change. And what we're talking about also, more importantly, is that you can do the work, and there's no shame in asking for help. Before we take off here, Dr. Shashani, would you want to give us a word of advice in how people can reach you and even ask you questions, please?
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Paul, for calling me here, first of all. I remember when the lockdown started, we started with that, and I've known you through Bridges also. You've been very kind. Um, my only advice to everyone is take care of yourself first, and then everything will fall into places. So first, understand where are you coming from and why are you feeling a certain thing. And you can reach to me on Instagram. We are by the name of Dr. Shivani Khetan 376. On Facebook, you can find us, Dr. Shivani Khetan 376. Or you can email us blessings@drshivaniKhetan.com.
My dear friend, I know we stay in touch across the globe, and we're connected through that vibration of love and compassion, and we work on it. So give your mother a hug and a kiss from me, and
Thank
tell her
you.
that I keep up with her workouts and don't let her stop. And I will talk to you sooner than later. And of course, we
True.
will keep us up, and let's stay healthy, let's stay safe, and let's stay blessed, please.
Yes. And happy Thanksgiving to you and have a great time with your family. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
kind.
you.